Please join us in our opening hymn from this bright hour. From this bright hour and days to come, as we have gathered into one, open the gates and the light will shine all around. Let there be light. Wounds of the world begin to heal as peace with justice is made real. Open the gates and the light will shine all around. Let there be light. All are welcome, all invited, with open hearts and open minds. In our living, in our learning, may we always be searching for truth and light. Now is the hour, join in the song, here in this place where we belong. Open the gates and the light will shine all around. Let there be light.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to family worship at First Unitarian Church of Portland, where our mission is to nurture the individual spirit and together to build the beloved community. I'm so glad you are with us this morning. A reminder for parents and caregivers that if you missed the workshop earlier this month, today after the 10:15 service, there will be another opportunity open to all congregants to learn more about the 8th principle proposal for Unitarian Universalism. This proposal would expand our current 7 principles and make explicit our commitment to be an anti-racist and multicultural faith. This is something that members of this congregation will vote on later this spring, and this is a good way to learn more about the proposal. It will begin at 11:45 today, and you can sign up through the link in this week's e-news. Every Sunday, we light a chalice, and Cassandra will light our chalice from her home this morning. If you have a chalice at home, I encourage you to light it now.
We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Words of Leonard Cohen, who was a musician and a poet. He said, "There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Come now and let us worship here together." This month, our spiritual theme is wholeness. Are you familiar with that word? Or maybe just the first part of that word, whole? Whole can mean a number of things. Like when you drink a whole glass of something, you'd say, "I drank the whole thing." Now, when you use the word wholeness, that would look at the whole of something in its entirety, with all of its parts making up one unified thing. A sense of wholeness would be a sense that all the parts of something make for a kind of unity, that everything is just as it should be when it comes to that particular thing. But sometimes when we think of that sense of wholeness, it might be too a matter of perspective. It may be that we look at something and instead of seeing it as whole, we may see it as having something wrong with it. but it may be the way we are looking at something just doesn't appreciate what makes that thing special, or we would say whole. This morning, I'd like to share a story with you. There are versions of this story from a number of different cultures. This is a story about a little pot that had a big crack in it, and how the pot worried that it was flawed or not whole. But a little girl sees it differently and helps the little pot see just how valuable it is. This is from a book called The Little Cracked Pot, written by Sean Patterson and illustrated by Christina Patterson. The Little Cracked Pot. These words are powerful, so listen well. Long ago, in a small village nestled among mist-covered mountains and bright green rice paddies, there lived a young girl. Mei Li was her name, and she spent most of her days playing with her doggie, Fufu. Every morning, before she was allowed to play, she had to do her chores. Early each morning, Mei Li took the mountain path and made a long trip down to the stream. With her, she carried 2 water pots on either end of a pole. One pot was perfect. He was always full to the top with water when he arrived back at the village. The other little pot had a crack. He always leaked water all the way along the mountain path. By the time Mei Li arrived back home, the little cracked pot was barely half full. This routine continued on day after day. Mei Li would make the long journey home and end up with only 1 1/2 pots of water. Now, the shiny and perfect pot was very proud of his accomplishments, but the poor little cracked pot felt ashamed. He was sad that he could only do half the job that the other pot could do. The little cracked pot worried that he was a failure. He spoke to Mei Li by the stream one morning as they were getting ready for another long day's journey. He told Mei Li he was embarrassed that he could never do the job right. He asked Mei Li why she kept him when he was such an imperfect pot. Mei Li looked down at her special little friend. With a wink and a glowing smile, she asked him, "Did you ever notice the flowers grow only on your side of the path? I have always known you had a crack, so I plant flowers on your side of the path. Every day while we walk back from the stream, you water them for me." Mei Li explained that for many years she had been picking these beautiful flowers to decorate her table and to give to her friends and her family. Without you being just the way you are, we would not have such beautiful flowers to fill all of our homes. The little cracked pot was thrilled. He understood that no 2 pots are ever the same, or that they ought to be. He realized that each of us is unique. With cracks and flaws, we are able to make our lives meaningful and interesting. I really like that story. I think it has an important message for us to think about as well. Sometimes we can come to think of certain things as being just one way, like the pot that didn't have the crack in it being the way that all pots should be, and the pot with the crack in it as being less valuable than the other pot. And if the pot's value is based only on how much water it could carry, if that was the only thing to consider, then maybe that would be the case. But what the little girl pointed out in the story was that there was also a value in a pot that managed to spill water along its route home. Because the pot spilled water, it helped for some beautiful flowers along the path to grow and to bring beauty into the world. That was part of the wholeness of that pot with a crack in it. The story made me think about a couple things when it comes to that sense of being whole. The first thing I thought about was how all of us have gifts and how we are good at some things and not as much at other things, and how that's okay. In fact, when you think about it, if we were all exactly the same and good at all the same things, well, that could actually get kind of boring. How it is a blessing that we each have our unique gifts, and how it is that that makes the world more whole and more interesting. And sometimes we discover things that make us special when we learn that we aren't as good at some other things. So when I was a child, I was not very good at sports. It just wasn't my thing. And at first, I sometimes thought that something was wrong with me because I wasn't very good at sports. But later on, I came to realize that it was seeing that I wasn't good at this one thing, sports, that actually led me to explore and discover some other things. Now, for me, those were things like music and art and drama, those things that I loved and that I found I was pretty good at, those things that helped me discover something about what made me feel whole as a person. But I'm also thinking about how sometimes it might just be a matter of perspective. It was the little girl Mei Li in the story that showed the little pot its value and its beauty. And sometimes that is what we are asked to do as well. My neighbors get delivery of vegetables a couple times a week from a business that specializes in vegetables that some stores may not want to sell because the vegetables are not seen as perfect, that they aren't a certain size or shape. Now, even if these vegetables taste just as good as any other vegetables, some stores and some customers only want perfect vegetables. But it would be sad to see those vegetables that taste just as good, maybe even better, to see them go to waste. But it took someone to notice that and make a business out of it. What a great idea. That means that fewer vegetables go to waste, and that is definitely a good thing. And it means that people get to eat more vegetables that are good for them. And we know that's a good thing. And I think it may be that way with people sometimes too. Because we have an image of what makes a person beautiful or whole, we may miss the beauty in someone right before us just because they might be different in some way. And that would be sad for them, and it would be sad for us. So here's to noticing the cracks and the beautiful flowers they help to make grow. Thanks for listening to this story with me today.
It can be really tough to feel whole these days. And part of the problem is that everywhere we look, we see perfection. On the TV, in the movies, and on social media, we see beautiful people with expensive clothes, perfect skin and hair, and they look really happy. They look so perfect. It can sometimes feel like the only way we can be happy and to be loved is to try as hard as we can to be perfect like they are. But here's the thing, they aren't perfect. Just like the bowl in the story, these people have cracks. They have bad hair days, and they have pimples, and they get angry, and they get sad, impatient, and mean sometimes. Just like the rest of us. Perfection might be something to strive for, but it almost never happens. The song that I'm going to sing for you is a love song. Now, I know, Valentine's Day was last week, but here's the thing. This song talks about how if you really love someone, you have to love all of them, not just the good-looking, happy parts. None of us are perfect. We all have our strengths that make us beautiful. And in our beautiful imperfection, we are all worthy of love.
What would would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in, you kicking me out. You've got my head spinning, no kidding, I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Oh, how many times do I have to tell you? Even when you're crying, you're beautiful too. The world is beating you down. I'm around for every mood. You're my downfall, you're my muse, my worst distraction, my rhythm and blues. I can't stop singing, it's ringing in my head for you. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. Love your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, you give me all of you. Oh, give me all of you. Cards on the table, we're both showing hearts, risking it all, though it's hard. 'Cause all of me loves all of you. All your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, you give me all of you, 'cause I give you all of me, you give me all of you. Oh.
With the story Tom told about the cracked pot, we thought about how each of us is different. And because none of us is perfect, we can discover what makes each of us special. Sometimes what we see as flaws may actually be gifts and blessings. When you explore the world around you, you may notice this is true in nature as well, and for many of the individual objects that become part of our lives. I've been learning about a Japanese phrase, wabi-sabi. These two words have different meanings, but when put together, they may be similar to the Buddhist view of existence. Something isn't beautiful because it is perfect and lasting, but rather it is beautiful because it is imperfect and fleeting, or goes through a lifespan. Accepting that nothing lasts forever and nothing is perfect may allow us to see a deeper beauty and meaning. Can you think of something you've seen or something you have that is special and memorable because of a certain imperfection? Maybe it's something that's very old. Maybe it broke and has now been fixed and looks a little bit different, or it's missing a part. Perhaps it's just become something else. Or does it hold a special memory? Whatever it is, what makes it beautiful to you? Or comforting? How does it help remind you of what is possible, what is lovable, or what matters? These are some of the questions you may think about as you contemplate the images we have to share with you today. For our meditation, please look at them closely and decide for yourself if there is beauty or meaning to be found. Thank you for sharing this meditation with me today.
And so, as you go through your day and through your week, I hope that you will notice the beauty around you. Remember, it might be the crack we see in something that makes it unique and special, just like each one of us. This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace. Practice love. Amen.
Our closing hymn for today is called Over My Head. Now, this song is a call and response song, so you can sing Over My Head after I sing it. So I'll sing over my head, I hear music in the air, I hear music in the air. Or you can sing along with me at the same time. There are 5 verses, so you'll have plenty of time to get this tune in your head. So here we go. Over my head, I hear music in the air.
music in the air. Over my head, I hear music in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. Over my head, I hear singing in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I see trouble in the air. Over my head, I see trouble in the air. Over my head, I see trouble in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I feel gladness in the air. Over my head, I see gladness in the air. Over my head, I see gladness in the air. There must be a God somewhere. Over my head, I see angels in the air. Over my head, I see angels in the air. Over my head, I see angels in the air. There must be a God somewhere.